the Nicomachean Ethics of Aristotle.
Read and presented by George Pitropogiannakis.
Book 1, Chapter 8. Are we then to call no man happy while he lives? And, as Solon would have us, look to the end. And again, if we are to maintain this position, is a man then happy when he is dead? Or is not this a complete absurdity, especially in us who say happiness is a working of a certain kind? If, on the other hand, we do not assert that the dead man is happy, and Solon does not mean this, but only that one would then be safe in pronouncing a man happy as being thenceforward out of the reach of evils and misfortunes. This too admits of some dispute, since it is thought that the dead has somewhat both of good and evil, if, as we must allow, a man may have when alive, but not aware of the circumstances, as honor and dishonor, and good and bad fortune of children and descendants generally. Nor is this view, again, without its difficulties, for after a man has lived in blessedness to old age, and died accordingly, many changes may befall him in right of his descendants. Some of them may be good and obtain positions in life according to their merits. Others, again, quite the contrary. It is plain too that the descendants may, at different intervals or grades, stand in all manner of relations to the ancestors. Absurd indeed would be the position that even the dead man is to change about with them and become at one time happy and at another miserable. Absurd, however, it is, on the other hand, that the affairs of the descendants should in no degree and during no time affect the ancestors. But we must revert to the point first raised, since the present question will be easily determined from that. If then we are to look to the end, and then pronounce the man blessed, not as being so, but as having been so at some previous time, surely it is absurd that when he is happy, the truth is not to be asserted of him, because we are unwilling to pronounce the living happy by reason of their liability to changes, and because, whereas we have conceived of happiness as something stable and no way easily changeable, the fact is that good and bad fortune are constantly circling about this same people. For it is quite plain that if we are to depend upon the fortunes of men, we shall often have to call the same man happy, and a little while after miserable, thus representing our happy man chameleon-like and based on rottenness. Is not this the solution? That to make our sentence dependent on the changes of fortune is no way right, for not in them stands the well or the ill, but though human life needs these as accessories, which we have allowed already, the workings in the way of virtue are what determine happiness, and the contrary. And, by the way, the question which has been here discussed testifies incidentally to the truth of our account of happiness. For to nothing does a stability of human results attach so much as it does to the workings in the way of virtue, since these are held to be more abiding even than the sciences. And of these last again, the most precious are the most abiding, because the blessed live in them most and most continuously, which seems to be the reason why they are not forgotten. So, then, this stability which is sought will be in the happy man, and he will be such through life, since always, or most of all, he will be doing and contemplating the things which are in the way of virtue, and the various chances of life he will bear most nobly, and at all times, and in all ways harmoniously, since he is the truly good man, or, in the terms of our proverb, a faultless cube. And whereas the incidents of chance are many and differ in greatness and smallness, The small pieces of good or ill fortune evidently do not affect the balance of life. But the great and numerous, if happening for good, will make life more blessed, for it is their nature to contribute to ornament, and the using of them comes to be noble and excellent. But if for ill, they bruise, as it were, and maim the blessedness, for they bring in positive pain and hinder many acts of working. But still, even in these, nobleness shines through when a man bears contentedly many and great mischances, not from insensibility to pain, but because he is noble and high-spirited. And if, as we have said, the acts of working are what determine the character of the life, no one of the blessed can ever become wretched, because he will never do those things which are hateful and mean. For the man who is truly good and sensible bears all fortunes, we presume becomingly, and always does what is noblest under the circumstances, just as a good general employs to the best advantage the force he has with him, or a good shoemaker makes the handsomest shoe he can out of the leather which has been given him, and all other good artisans likewise. And if this be so, wretched never can the happy man come to be. I do not mean to say he will be blessed should he fall into fortunes like those of Priam. Nor, in truth, is he shifting and easily changeable. For on the one hand, from his happiness he will not be shaken easily, nor by ordinary mischances, but, if at all, by those which are great and numerous. And, on the other, after such mischances, he cannot regain his happiness in a little time, but, if at all, in a long and complete period, during which he has made himself master of great and noble things. Why then should we not call happy the man who works in the way of perfect virtue, and is furnished with external goods sufficient for acting his part in the drama of life, and this during no ordinary period, but such as constitutes a complete life as we have been describing it? Or we must add that not only is he to live so, but his death must be in keeping with such life, since the future is dark to us, and happiness we assume to be in every way an end and complete. And if this be so, we shall call them among the living blessed who have and will have the things specified, but blessed as men. On these points, then, let it suffice to have denned thus much.